Finally made it here. Now where is that overgrown lizard? There you are. Now get the fuck up, boy. We have work to do. Now, if you didn't already guess, we are indeed playing the new adventure today, the Donatium, I think it's pronounced like that, and this is going to be the deck for today. So let's quickly go over it. Before we jump into the games, we are indeed using a Kachina, Hydro Tulpa and Golden Wolf Rod combination, and you might be wondering, this is a rather odd combo for the new adventure location perhaps, but if you know how Donatium works, we are going to see it in the games as we unfortunately cannot preview it, but the new adventure location really much favors aggressive decks, especially decks that use summons, since the new, well, we'll get to that all later, but to quickly go over, this is the deck for today. Our number one goal is to get Bona and Coquette, a new adventure related card, a very good card for Kachina when combined with the newest adventure location. So our main goal is to get Bona and Coquette, at least one copy round one, and quick as fast as possible get the new adventure location. And from there you can go to Hydro Tulpa to proc the new adventure locations, summon the dragon, the new dragon. I don't remember, it has a name, we are going to get to that later. Anyway, you are going to go to Hydro Tulpa from there. Now, if you have already seen the newest adventure, you might be wondering, but hold on, that whole new adventure thing, it wants you to have low max HP characters. Well, yes, which is why this deck, you have to force yourself to take damage with this deck, because otherwise, of course, the dragon will eventually do damage to your characters, or well, a character. But anyway, we are going to go to the more final details about all of that in the games themselves. I'm simply just now going to give, this is the version I play, but you can absolutely replace Golden Wolf Rod with Navia. And if you go for that, then replace Ateia with Seymour and get rid of these other techniques, because you don't really need. I mean, actually, you can even replace Bona and Coquette if you go for Navia instead of Golden Wolf Rod. Of course, if you go for Navia, you really want to like start with Kachina, switch to Tulpa, do a Tulpa skill round one. The game plan, from what you are going to see, it's gonna be really different if you want to play a Navia version of this deck. But a Navia is a perfectly good replacement for Golden Wolf Rod in this deck. And if you play Navia, switch up the technique, like switch up Bona and Coquette, Ateia and the techniques for like Seymour and stuff. We have techniques in this deck precisely because we are running Bona and Coquette, and well, everything else can kind of remain the same. Though I do suppose if you play this deck with Navia, perhaps the Fell Dragon is not necessary, because of course with this setup all of our characters do have summons, so having a Fell Dragon in the deck is very good. Other than that, like Blessing of M and adventure related stuff, they are the must-haves for this deck. Everything else can be replaced. Of course, we have minimal healing only from the Narcissen Cruise adventure, being the only card that heals us. Of course, with this setup, you do get the full value from this card. If you have Navia, you do not get full value from this card, which is also the reason I'm running Golden Wolf Lord instead of Navia here. But yeah, you can see like minimal amount of healing, and Geo-Resonance works as the backup if you need to tank more damage. Of course, the Arcane card Lost Legacies in the Sand for round 1 to not guarantee, but give us a higher probability of getting the cards we want, which is once again Bona and Coquette, along with the adventure artifacts. And yeah, techniques are here so that outside of Kachina you can get value from Bona and Coquette. But I think that's enough about the cards and the deck itself. You are here for the games and we are going to jump right into them. Now, a quick mention for this, I think it's the first 2 games of today. I'm not playing the version of the deck you just saw there, because this, what you see here, this is the version 1 of the deck, and in this version you can see I have Seymour, because my original idea for this deck was to play Navia, but as a last minute change I realized perhaps Golden Wolflord is actually better, and then I had forgotten to change the deck itself. So in the first 2 games I'm actually using like a worse version of this deck, because I have Seymour. I mean, lucky enough the Seymour actually does give me a card which I can play at some point in this game and have value. Second notable part, I think I have different techniques in this version as well, so don't be surprised, in these first 2 games the deck is a bit different. You can see here, once again, this is like one, if not the first game, one of the first, I don't think this was the first game I played with this deck, but one of the first decks, which is why in the very beginning of the game, well, we cannot see it, but I actually put Bona and Coquette, the new companion card, back to the deck instead of keeping it. That was simply because I was not yet familiar with what would be the actual best way of playing this deck. But there we have the Donatium, let's quickly go over it. Whenever you get adventure experience, convert 1 elemental die into Omni element. This of course is very good for Kachina, who uses specifically Geo dice for her technique. And of course when you combo this with Bona and Coquette, which is when you do a technique, gain 1 adventure, so you basically fix all of your dice by playing Kachina, and you do not need to worry about your dice. You can see here we have fixed 1 dice when we got the Donatium. Second, when you adventure experience reaches 2, draw 1 card. This helps a little if you, for example, round 1 don't get any draw power. This one helps a little for that, but nothing else. Battle Plan, perhaps the best buff out of all of these 3. What it does, your active characters, when you reach 4, note this is only for 1 character, and it's your active character when you reach 4 adventure experience stacks. You gain Battle Plan, and what Battle Plan does, your skills cost 1 fewer elemental die, and it's all skills. It's normal, like it's elemental skill, it's elemental burst. All of them cost -1 dice twice. It has 2 usages. Oh well, 2 stacks to be more precise. And then the best part, of course, you reach 6 adventure experience. You summon the tide-turning Secret Lord, the new dragon, which has the effect discard 1 random summon on the opponent's field. Well, I suppose this is actually the effect of the adventure location, not the dragon itself. But you discard 1 random summon, which in the current meta, like I think most Skirk is the only exception. Everything else like plays some sort of summon these days. They are at least very popular in my experience, but you often get value, but you don't have to force yourself to get value from this discard, only against decks such as my opponents here, where the summon is really important for their game plan, does it become important to play this, reach the 6 adventure experience in a proper, like, calculated moment? Because, for example, I don't want to get 6 adventure before my opponent has spent at least a bit more dice to redo Yamiko's skill. Because of course this is not the sort of send-off where it reduces the usage by 2. No, this discards one summon completely. All the stacks, everything, it disappears from the field. And of course you get the dragon, and what the dragon does: end phase 2 pierce damage, not physical, pierce damage. And when this card is discarded, deal 5 piercing damage to the highest HP character on the field, your side or the opponent. Currently, if there was Titan Dragon on the field and it would be discarded, Hydro Turbo would take 5 damage. That's how it works. And you can see it has base usages of 3, so the when discarded effect doesn't happen that fast if there is a scenario where your characters have the highest HP. And of course that is the reason why we are running Blessing of M, so that we can discard the dragon whenever we want and deal 5 damage to the highest HP character. By the way, quick knowledge, replacing the dragon with a new dragon, basically if you get 6 experience again before the last dragon has disappeared from the field, it does not deal the 5 damage, it simply refreshes the usages of the old dragon. Secondly, the highest HP, it refers to the number. The character with the highest HP number. It's not percentage based, where if you have a 10 HP character on 8 HP and a 12 HP character on 8 HP, that, you know, it only looks at the number, not any percentage stuff, and it prioritizes the opponent, meaning if you and the opponent have a character on equal amount of HP, opponent always takes the damage. And I think that's all the technicalities of this adventure location. Anyway, let's get into the actual games finally. You can see here round 1 with this deck. This, even though this is the old version, this is what you really want to do. Start with Kachina. We are going to see the proper game plan without these not so good cards a little later today, but I really wanted to keep these games because they show that this deck, even when not playing a more optimized version, this is very good. Of course, you can argue here in the round 1, if you recognize what my opponent is playing, they should have absolutely gone for double Yamiko skill instead of some Ayaka shenanigans. So you can say here in the first game that my opponent, they had bad luck round 1. Oh yeah, in this version, this is once again the bad version, so to speak, of. We are running the Petley source once again with the idea that I would have played Navia. This would have been a decent card, because you could have gotten the bullets, and with the bullets you would have gotten full value out of the technique. But yeah, once again, this is the old version. Here, to no one's surprise, my opponent is doing exactly what I was expecting. Finally the Flames of War coming down. They end the round on Yamiko, reasonable since I played the Golden Wolf Lord's talent card, and this way they minimize the damage to their more important characters. And of course they do get the Flames of War effect for themselves. You can see we have 5 adventure stacks here, only 1 more and we get to see the activation, and there we go. You can see Yamiko summon out of the field and Tide turning Secret Lord on the field. I of course made this move precisely to get rid of Yaimiko's summon. It was simply worth it here. No need to go for Blessing of M yet. We can get value out of Dragon if we get lucky with Tulba's skills. Of course here with the first one we did not get lucky. Tulba gets taken out, that's quite unfortunate. I go for the burst, there was the battle plan, which is why it costed only 2 dice. We get rid of Ayaka, and quick mention also, in these games you are only going to see me go for Tonatium over and over again, but you can absolutely in certain matchups go for, after the first activation of the Tonatium, go for Tower of Ipsissimus, because that adventure deals pierce damage to all of your characters, which you can use to get your characters to be the lower HP characters, so that when you discard the Sacred Lord, the damage goes to your opponent. That's a small little tip, but you do not often run into situations like that. And look at that, we get really lucky here with the Hunter's Ray, because of course if my opponent had Cryo Resonance, I mean that's going to deal 3 damage, I would have 4 HP, all they needed was Cryo Resonance and they could take out Wolflord next round. But I got really lucky here with the Hunter's Ray, and because I had Althea already on the field, Corrosion and my Summon Steel just enough to take out the Cryo Hypostasis here. But anyway, like I said, next match also we are going to see the same version of the deck, but after that we get into the actual games. And this is indeed the reason why I wanted to keep both of these first 2 games. Different person, same deck. I thought it was really funny to keep both of these games. Now here I actually start to realize that you indeed want to keep Bona and Coquette round 1 for this specific version. If you are once again running Navia, then the artifacts have a more priority than the Bona and Coquette. But in this game I believe we get to see my opponent play the proper game plan of that deck, which is double skill from Yaimiko round 1. Countdown to showdown indeed here for this reason. Really only for round 1, sometimes later if you can clutch the game with Blessing of M for example and you need to fish it from your deck. But usually just round 1, countdown to showdown to get the cards you need. Also a quick mention, Bona and Coquette, when played adventure once, this also helps with fixing your dice for Kachina. Of course when you go for this countdown to showdown round 1, you don't really need the dice fixing from the adventure location. But you can see here we are already having 2 adventure round 1, very good, considering part of that came from a setup card, Bona and Coquette, which will give us more adventure next round. Suppose I could quickly also mention, you saw at the end of the last round why I'm using Hunter's Ray. It becomes very good in certain scenarios. When you are running low on dice. But you can see here we are up to 5 adventure experience, just like that. Also here you see the quick mention, this applies in the later games as well, even though in this game we still have the old version of the deck. You don't often care about the battle plan. You don't purposefully optimize your plays so that the battle plan goes on a character you can actually get full value of it. Don't try to play around that, but if you get value from the battle plan, that's good. do not force yourself to play in a way that you get value from the battle plan, because this does not discount, of course, the techniques, which when you are on Kachina it only discounts the skill, burst and normal attack. Still very good, but usually, like you can see here, we are sacrificing Kachina now that we have the adventure location. You also saw there, once again, Yaemiko's summon is out of the game. My opponent's game plan, or more precisely their damage, is very, very low now. They still go for a normal attack, which I find quite surprising. They could have just gone for a skill there, some screen lag I see with the game itself. That's not on me. But like they could have just gone for a kill on Kachina with an elemental skill from the cryo hypostasis instead of, you know, going for a normal attack, because, well, I would have probably done a skill. I mean, of course, if they had bad dice and they really wanted the burst, reasonable. But I believe here we get to see the discarding of the Sacred Lord for a first time. Not yet.
Emerge.
Not yet. Here, why I didn't go for the artifact, because I can still switch to Hydro Tulpa. But also this way I can play the Hunter's Ray and take out Yaemiko here. If they stay on Yaemiko, which if they switch, now the Golden Erosion will take her out. Yeah, I don't think we get rid of any of the summons here, because you can see Yaemiko and the Cryo Hypostasis will be taken out by the Corrosion and then by the summons. And since we do not have the talent card on Golden Wolf Lord, it's very good to sacrifice the Wolf Lord instead of Hydro Tulpa. And I think this round we are finally going to play Blessing of Am on the Sacred Lord here. So I do believe I do play some... Yeah, I do play that for HP first. But you can see there, 5 damage because Ayaka had more max HP. Well, more HP total. Not max HP, HP total. Anyway, let's get into the actual replays of the deck, which you saw there at the beginning. Now, the first game we have Genshin. I think that's 1 round sweep. I don't know what you call it, but you know, 1 round sweep with the Jade Spear.
Okay, let's go.
Nothing too new, quite the old deck, but sometimes still works if you get lucky. My opponent's, that is, of course. We are going to play exactly the same way. Now, of course, I could maybe go for specifically Wolf Lord so that I could get Corrosion onto Genshin with the burst, but there's like really no reason to go for that when you have Bona and Coquette in your hand. Basically, the game plan for this deck: round 1, if you get Bona and Coquette, either by playing draw cards and the Arcane, then you want to go for Kachina. If you only get artifacts, the adventure artifacts, then you want to go for Wolf Lord. If you get neither Bona and Coquette or the artifacts, then if you have the talent card, go for Wolf Lord. If you do not have the talent card, go for Kachina. That's basically like how you can go about it. Also, very, very standard for this deck. Round 1, switch off from Kachina. 1, to get the summon, which then gives you the Hydro Tulpa's Half Tulpa summon. And 2nd, to spread damage. Tulpa, of course, takes damage whenever a Half Tulpa is spawned, but for the Golden Wolf Lord to take damage and for Kachina to take damage, you need to switch characters, especially when your opponent is not playing an AoE damage deck. Unlike in the first 2 games we saw an AoE damage deck, so there was no need to switch characters actively. But you can see here all of our characters are now lower max HP than our opponent's highest HP characters. Secondly, you saw there I played Blessing of M. Playing one Blessing of M is completely fine. Playing both and neither of them on the Sacred Lord, that is bad. You always want to keep one Blessing of M for your Sacred Lord. Unless playing the Blessing of M wins you the game, do not do it. That's the basics of it. Playing one is fine, playing both is not fine. And you can see here, we do not quite take out the Seahorse, but at this stage it's actually very good because now they have to waste dice switching instead of getting a free switch to Yunjin. Of course I see that they have the Wagner on the field already, so I'm expecting they have the weapon in hand. But you can see here, because I don't know why they didn't switch, they should have. But Seahorse burst instead. Once again I call for Thanatium, and once again Ipsissimus is a perfectly fine secondary adventure location, because Tower of Ipsissimus gives you more dice. And you know, usually by the time you have gotten Thanatium once, you have enough cards in your hand to tune away, so that even if you get bad dice, you know, you can cope with the situation. And of course you don't want to go for Genu Whale, because Genu Whale heals your characters. You don't want to be on the high HP side. You want to be on low HP. And there we have my opponents. If they had all of that, why did they go for Seahorse Burst? Bad move. I of course use this as an opportunity to let Hydro Tulpa take damage. Going for the skill is absolutely fine, because once again, no matter the summon activated, my opponent would still have the more max HP, and well, not to mention in this scenario I do not have Blessing of M in hand, but I can fish for it with the Lost Legacies in sand. And no surprise my opponent goes for another skill there with a normal attack. I would have gone for a skill. I mean, you tuned cards, so you had Elin, so going for the skill in my opinion would have been a better move there. But they went for a normal attack. We do another skill, there's really no reason not to. Because you know, both of these activating would have been good for me. They still have the highest HP character on their side of the field. And we end it with the Fell Dragon to threaten even more damage. And look at that, Yunjin is out of the game. And we even got the discard damage on the Zhongli. And well, the rest of the game is really nothing special. We just finish off Zhongli, who's going to get some shields here, I believe.
Let her rip!
Solidify.
Yeah, like that. And now it takes a bit longer to take Zhongli out. But you can see we are almost back to another Sacred Lord here, which would of course be even more pierce damage on top of the Corrosion and Fell Dragon already. But with that we get into the next game. Now in this matchup we had a proper stall deck. I suppose I can at this point also give a quick spoiler for the last game of the day. I unfortunately did not face any Skirk decks when playing this one, so I unfortunately cannot say if this is a good counter against Skirk. Secondly, I only faced the Lini Escoffier Hydro Tulpa deck once while playing this deck, and they were using Favonius Cathedral, Wang Shu in, you know, some unique version, and because it was not the meta version of the deck, or not even close to a meta version of the deck, I didn't include that on today's video. So unfortunately I cannot say how good this deck is against, you know, the top meta decks, because as is always the case whenever I'm trying to make videos, nobody plays the meta decks whenever I'm playing my experimental decks. And whenever I'm playing like some older deck or whatever meme deck I've come up with, then everyone is suddenly playing meta decks. Like I honestly don't know what is up with that. Whenever I'm trying to get games for like these new decks I've cooked up, no one seems to play the meta. But at least we got some quite decent, like we saw the last one was not that bad, the Flames of War aggro decks there at the beginning, and now we have this nice tall deck. I think this is good to show you that you do have enough damage with this deck. You can see there, Furious Summon out of the game. Also by now, it is round 2, and you probably have realized by now, this deck is quite consistent on getting the dragon round 2. And I do mean it, it is really consistent. Round 2 dragon, most of your matches. The beginning of the round 3, latest, it is the moment when you get the dragon. Like, you really don't need to worry about it, with at least with this version. You have plenty of adventure stuff. So yeah, this deck, at least from my experience, very, very consistent. The worst that can happen to you with this deck is that round 1 you don't get Bona and Coquette, you don't get any of the adventure artifacts, no matter what cards you play. That can happen with this deck, but usually that only means that round 2 you are going to get either an artifact or the Bona and Coquette. And well, in those cases you just have to, well, improvise. But more often than you are going to get one of these three cards here, round 1, and with that, like I mentioned earlier, you either go for Kachina or you go for the Golden Wolf Lord. Yeah. I also think in this match we might see Kachina get some good value out of the battle plan with the elemental burst. Yeah, I think this is the match where I go for it, because the good thing once again about the battle plan is the fact that it's really, really good on Kachina if you get value out of it. More often than not, of course, Kachina gets taken out because it is the character you are gonna be sitting on for most of the game, but it's quite well, sometimes it works out. Sometimes you get the cheapened skill, cheapened burst with the battle plan, and then you just deal so much damage that you don't even need the Sacred Lord for anything. Kachina sweeps you the game. But that only really happens if your opponent is really, really passive. In this match you can see I haven't actually gone to Hydro Tulpa, and now it's actually going to be a bit of a problem for me. Or it would have been a problem had it not been for my opponent's Arcane card. Because of course the Sacred Lord would have now done damage to Hydro Tulpa here. But you can see, because they played the Arcane, and because Hydro Tulpa deals damage to self, actually the Sacred Lord is still going to take damage, because of course the pierce damage is going to lower Diona, and this way now my Hydro Tulpa took actually the 5 damage from the discarding of the summon. Well, discarding of the Sacred Lord. But we are just going to quickly get a new one like so. We get rid of their healing summon. And look at that, they are going to take some decent damage from the summons here. Now here, of course, if my opponent was able to proc Genyu well, they might have had a better chance, but they only have 3 cards in hand. I doubt they can do anything before Corrosion takes them out. And look at that. Double Blessing of Am, of course, at the bottom of my deck. As usual with my luck.
Bully me! Oh, yay! Okay, let's go!
Here, I mean, there was really no need to go for Kachina. I should have just done another skill with the Wolf Rod. I guess I was a little scared that there was an extra dice that could have, you know, taken out, because they now have Nim Stream for that +1 extra damage, so they could have taken out Wolf Lord. But there was no. So the Corrosion finishes off the game, and let's get into the last game of today. Now, for the last game of today, we have full concentrated beasts. And of course, the Crocodile. The Crocodile is quite a busted card, like definitely one of the better, stronger additions in the TCG in this latest update. Simply because it has a ridiculous amount of healing, that card. Especially like if you... like the fact that the passive activates when you burst. If it wasn't for the passive activating when you burst, I'd say the Crocodile would be a decently balanced card. But because the passive, which is whenever you play or discard a Bone Cruncher block, heal 1 HP for the most damaged character, and then you have the burst, which discard up to 3 Bone Cruncher blocks. For each card discarded, heal 1 HP, increase max HP by 1. So the burst can already heal you for 6 HP, but it also activates the passive skill. So in total it can heal you for 9 HP, which is very, very ridiculous for a burst to heal. Like also, like compared to something like Barbara Burst, which firstly takes 3 energy, this is only 2 energy. This also deals damage, Barbara Burst does not deal damage. And also because this is the most damaged character on your team. Like it even optimizes itself compared to Barbara, which is just a flat +4 for all the characters. Like, not to mention how easy it is with the Crocodile to get Bone Cruncher blocks, because all you need to do is elemental skill and you get a Bone Cruncher block in, well, Bone Cruncher block in your hand. Not to mention it has 11 HP at the start. Like, it's not game breaking, because there are stronger additions with Skirk and the Escoffier Lini Hydro Tulpa combo being so good at dealing single target damage. So basically there are options to deal with this Crocodile. Not like, I mean, on top of all of that, Bond of Life is a very good counter for the Crocodile, as it is for any healing, but I would like to see like a limit to the passive skill, like maximum of 3 times per round at least, or something. Or something, like reduce the max HP also while you are at it, reduce the burst damage while you are at it. Simply put, compared to the other concentrated beasts, the Crocodile is far stronger. I think the only reason why Crocodile is nerfed by the fact that you have to play Crocodile with another concentrated beast to get full value out of it. I'd say that is like the only downside of the Crocodile. To optimally play, you have to play with another concentrated beast. Anyway, you can see here quite the standard beginning, drawing a lot of cards, not going for the arcane Since I did get the Feldragon's Monocle, which of course is better for Kachina, the 1 cost artifact, the 2 cost Nim Stream, that is better for Wolfrod and Tulpa. But yeah, I didn't go for the Arcane because I got the Monocle, I have Ateia, and I also got Beastly Corrosion, so you know, all of these are good cards to keep round 1. And I trusted that, you know, I can always use the Arcane round 2. Now, funny enough, in this matchup my opponent is also going for the Tonatium Adventure location. You can see they have Nim Stream, they have Seymour on the field already. And now they have the Battle Plan. This actually is a quite good version of the full concentrated beasts from my opponent. Since they are, of course, with the Crocodile able to keep themselves alive very well. But you can see we got double Bona and Concrete, so our own Tonatium is going to soon appear. Here I actually do not go for a new skill even though I could, and you might wonder why is that? Well, it has something to do with the game plan. You can see here the ridiculous amount of healing from the Crocodile. They already have more HP than well, actually now they are back at the amount of HP they had, well, total HP amount they had at the start of the game. And what, it's the start of round 3 now. And that isn't even a star deck, they are simply sitting on one character and spamming the skills. Here once again, what am I doing? I am spreading the damage. I'm letting them do damage to more and more of my characters so that they have the max, well, highest amount of HP characters here. You can now see the Secret Lord is on the field, and luckily we had no summons so they didn't get any discard value. There we go for the talent card, of course, because we actually do need to do something here. They go for a burst and even more healing. But now it is finally time to proc Tonatium of our own. We do it with Kachina's skill, which now discards my opponent's Sacred Lord, dealing 5 damage from there. Then I follow it up with a Blessing of M to discard my own Sacred Lord for another 5 damage. And because I have not yet activated Bona and Kukit, I can get Tonatium a second time and already up to 2 stacks on Adventure, combined with the fact that I have double Ancient Sacrifice here. It's only going to be a matter of time until we get Tonatium again. And with our summons there, carry the Crocodile is out of the game. Now the Scorpion is still scary, the Serpent is not. But the Scorpion can still deal some high damage here. So we need to be a bit careful here at the end. Of course we now have the Fell Dragon, and even though it only has 2 damage stacks, that's already plenty of damage. Not to mention we have the other Blessing of M, so if we really need to, we can always do that, like we do here. If you're wondering why, because I wanted to make sure that they cannot one-shot Hydro Tulpa with the Flying Serpent now that the Scorpion is out of the game. Of course I failed to account for the fact that I actually do take damage from the Half Tulpa spawning, so it was not the best move in the end. At least it forces them to do a skill. I'm looking for Georesonance here, and I get it. And here we go. Of course we already have the Fell Dragon, we don't need to do that much damage, we only need to live through this round. And now that they have nothing to swirl, I have basically already won the game. And there we go with the Sacred Lord on the field. And their last struggle is to do a gnome attack to take out Kachina, but with that I win the game. And yeah, that is all for today. This deck has been really fun to play, and I am a little sad I didn't get to face any meta decks while looking for these good games to share. Anyway, I'll see you all next time.